the Update Manager port settings for actually navigating outbound to connect to the upstream servers to pull down those patches. This is the IP address I want to use and the ports that I want to use that need to be opened. And if I have an internet connection and want to configure proxy settings, I can do so there. Finish up the installation, allow it to install, and that is the process of installing the Vsphere Update Manager. I'm going to let this conclude and finish installing here, and when we get back, we'll take a look at Vsphere Update Manager and how to use it. And we're back. All right, I'm back here in the Vsphere client. I want to first go here to plugins once again, and you'll notice that I have an available plugin here for the VMware Vsphere Update Manager extension, and I've got to download and install this. So you see I click it, and it's going to run that extension and install that plugin so that I can make use of the Update Manager client here within the Vsphere client. So as you can imagine, there's really kind of two steps to this. The first step, what we did just a second ago, and now this second step to actually wrap in the client functionality, the plugin functionality, into our Vsphere client. Once we're done, and once we've completed this process, you'll see here now, where did it go? Right here. The Vsphere Update Manager extension is now a part of the Vsphere client. We can make use of it here inside of this Vsphere client. If I click over here in Inventory, and I go down here to Solutions and Applications, you'll see Update Manager. And right here is essentially the Vsphere Update Manager. Now, the idea here is it's a little bit different if you're familiar with Windows and the WSUS approach to Windows. What we do here with Update Manager is we start by creating a baseline. Right? So we create this baseline of what the patch configuration should be for a host. And then ultimately scan the inventory and review our compliance with that baseline and remediate any hosts that we need to. Now, step one, obviously, is you got to download those patches and upgrades. Now, you'll notice that because we checked that box earlier, that download task has been started, and once we actually get completed with that, we get all the stuff downloaded, as you see here, the patch definitions have been completed, then we can go about creating those baselines and groups. But five-step process: download the patches, create attached baselines, scan the inventory, review compliance, and remediate is how you'll actually go about dealing with the patch needs of your ESXi hosts. Let's actually take a minute and step through this process so you can see how it works here. Here I have my baselines and groups. I have two baseline names that are created by default for critical host patches and then non-critical host patches here. If I want, I can create another baseline if I want. Let's just call this, our baseline. And it can be a host patch baseline, a host extension baseline, or a host upgrade baseline. You notice what's missing here from previous versions are the virtual machine baselines. In version 4, there was the ability for Vsphere to actually inject patches into the individual virtual machines, and they're not really here anymore. So I want to focus here on just host patches, because these are the ones that you're going to want to apply to add additional functionality, but more importantly to ensure that your hosts don't have any security vulnerabilities that would be fixed by making sure that you have the correct patches. So if I click the next button here, there is two different ways in which you would actually define that baseline. The first is by creating essentially a fixed baseline. You identify what patches you want to apply to your hosts. Okay, I want patch 1, patch 2, patch 3, and patch 7, and as long as those are deployed, then I'm fine. The other is this dynamic baseline that really, it takes metadata about the patches and applies patches based off of which metadata characteristics you're looking for. I'll start here with the dynamic, and then I'll go back and show you what the fixed is. So here with dynamic, let's assume that I want just VMware patches of critical importance